I'm here today with Rachel Morris, the author of Working Mother. Do you want to just bring that up and show us there we go. Isn't that beautiful? Rachel is one of the 22 practical inspiration authors shortlisted in this year's Business Book Awards. And I'm talking to all of them in these LinkedIn Live series. It's just really, really fun. And I should mention now, before I forget, that all 22 books are 99 pence or 99 cents in the Kindle store at the moment. So if you like the sound of this, or indeed any of the conversations, it's not going to break the bank to go and check it out. But welcome, Rachel. It's really, really lovely to talk to you today.
And welcome on those 22 authors.
Yeah, I'm trying not to emphasize that, but it is quite sort of pleasing.
It's incredible. You should be really pleased. And they are, go and get those 99p Kindle versions, because there are some great books in there.
Yeah, so. if you're wanting a to be read pile over the summer, this is where to go. Yeah. So, Working Mother, you and I both resonate with this title. Why did you write this book, Rachel?
Do you know, Alison, I think in my work as a coach, it's such a privileged profession, but it's confidential and it all happens behind the scenes. And you find yourself with people in times of great success, in times of deep vulnerability. And during the course of my practice working with women, particularly transitioning out of work to become mothers and coming back into work as a so-called working mother, I saw such extreme experiences in the coaching room. And like I say, it's all behind the scenes. It's all kind of hidden for the world to see. And during the course of certainly 10 years of focusing on that audience and then widening it out to the wider kind of parental audience, there are some very specific experiences in that transition. And I got very curious about the patterns. And so, for example, thought, if overwhelm manifests at this particular period of time, are we prepared to notice it? Are we prepared to respond to it? Can we really support as best as possible in that period in time? And what I developed was a real deep understanding of the transition the working mother goes through when she is about to leave the workplace, when she's out of the workplace, and when she comes back in. And from a coaching perspective, what we can do to really help make that transition as smooth as possible. And so I wrote the book because I'd got that information, Alison, and it felt really irresponsible not to share it, really irresponsible. So there was kind of a real moral obligation, because I thought, you know what, if it can help just one person, then actually I need to pop that information out there. So that's why I wrote the book.
Because of course, for every mother who's going through it on her own, every working woman who's going through it on her own, she thinks it's unique to her. She thinks she's uniquely cursed, or this overwhelm is she's the only person to experience it. Yeah. You don't get that sense of perspective particularly if it's your first time around.
Yeah, and I think there is this sense that we have to look like we're nailing it, don't we? We have to look at, and it's not like that. I remember certainly when I had my first child, I remember sitting down with other people. All of us were struggling and we were trying to be quite honest about it. But even then you water down, if you're not careful, how you're feeling about the experience. And then you've got that big piece of coming back into the workplace, where actually it's like, everyone thinks you're the same person. People talk about this notion of a returner, Alison, which makes me smile, because it's like, actually, she's not returning to the same thing. She's not the same. It's like we need to think new starter in instances like that. And so I know that there are so many shared experiences here that we're not talking about. And I know that actually some of the solutions to some of the emotional experiences people have in this transition actually are things that we can do something about. And so we must try to do something about them.
And you very much take a sort of coaching approach, a sort of self-coaching approach, about recognizing and naming and asking the questions that are going to help, and really sort of solution orientated. Why does that? Because there is an awful lot of tactical parenting stuff out there, isn't there? Why does this approach matter?
Do you know, it matters because we are emotional human beings. Hey, emotion is my data as a professional coach, so it's why I name the chapters, fear, those types of things, because actually they are the raw human emotions that we're dealing with, and they're shared, they're universal as well. So my perspective was, as a coach, from a coaching kind of view, so few people are able to access maternity coaching or wider parental transition coaching, but maternity coaching particularly, via their organizations, and those that do benefit greatly from it. So when I was writing the book, I haven't written it for a HR audience. I haven't written it about the transition. I haven't written it for coaches. I've written it for the woman who I may never see in a room because she's not able to afford it. She's not able to access it. And I wrote it because I thought, do you know what? For this, for $14.99, you know, you can buy this book. You can buy this book, or you can buy it for a friend or a loved one, and I will take you through the process that I have spent decades refining in that coaching room. So I ask the same questions in this and offer the same frameworks and things like that, and or ideas in this that I would offer to somebody in the coaching room. You know, so it really is for me about democratizing information for a very shared experience.
And we're talking about the benefit to the women, of course, because that's what, you know, who the book's for and that. But actually, the benefits to the organisation are also huge, aren't they?
Huge, huge. You know, attrition rates around the time that a woman becomes a parent are through the roof. You know, she is an incredibly vulnerable audience. There's so much data that tells us, you know, if she comes back, she doesn't come back for very long, or if she comes back part-time. If she comes back, she doesn't come back into the same level role that she came into, she comes back lower down. You know, so actually from a talent and from a talent pipeline perspective, we lose so much from an organizational perspective through this. And I just think there are things that we can be doing. We need systemic change, of course we do, but there are things that we can be doing on a local level that can have a massive impact on this. Line managers learning to ask some of the questions that I ask in this book, you know, they're refined, they're tested, they're checked, but it's like, understand what that fear is going to be feeling like. Understand how she might express that collision of two seemingly incompatible but very, very important worlds, and ask the questions. Offer this at that moment in time, and we might just see a shift. It's such an important time for organizations.
Yeah, and it's such an important book for women. Thank you. Brilliant. And I'm going to go from that really profound, serious, businessy type question. So how did you react when you find out?
Do you know, I felt really humble, actually, Alison. I think that was my state of kind of feeling, because you know, this book found me. I found myself with the response. I've never set out thinking I'm going to write a book. You know, it was like, actually, I've got a responsibility to write this book, and I wanted to. But then you put your book out in the world, you know, and you've heard authors say this time and time again. You just don't know where it goes. You don't know what anyone's going to think about it. And
it's a life of its own.
It does have a life of its own. And then you get those beautiful messages from time to time that say, oh my gosh, I was crying, or oh my goodness, I saw this. And you just think, that's great. It's having some impact. And I'd always had this little test for myself. And I do mention this in the book, that my success measure was if I saw somebody reading it on the tube. I live in London, and I went to see her and I said, how's the book? Is it any good? And she went, oh my gosh, it's completely changing the way I feel. I would just go, that's it. One person, it's all been worth it. And then when you get a recognition from the industry, from the people that know what books are about and, you know, how books are written and things, I think, you know, for me, that was quite a humbling experience, because I never expected that at all. So that's kind of the win for me, which is great.
Yeah, it's huge, and it's such a well-deserved nomination, well-deserved shortlisting. It's fantastic. Rachel, are you going to be there on the 10th of September? That's what I want to know.
I am going to be there in September. I am going to be there, and with my colleague who has stood by my side every step of the way as I've written this book, I'm inviting him to come with me too, so that will be nice.
It's going to be such a fun night. I can't wait to see you there. But in the meantime, just enjoy the summer, knowing that the book really has had that kind of stamp of validation, as well as all the women reading it whose lives you changed. There is a real kind of, you know, formal recognition of its quality as well.
And thank you for all your support as well.
You're so welcome. I'm so happy. All right. Thank you, Rachel. We have to end it there, but I shall see you soon.